Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We will give it a couple of moments before we kick this off. Just give everybody some time to get in and get settled. So we'll go ahead and get started at 11:02 a.m. Eastern. So if you need to freshen up your coffee, do whatever you got to do, we'll go ahead and get started in just a couple of moments. Okay, it looks like we can go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining us today. We're very excited to be here to talk with you about our newest product offering for Stax ISV partners and your merchants, which is the ability to offer PayPal as a digital payment option at checkout. Before we dive in, I first want to thank everyone that submitted a response to our question of what questions do you have about PayPal when you are registering for the webinar. We will make sure to answer each of those questions throughout the session, but I also want to make sure that if any questions come up throughout the time that we are together today, you know that you can submit a question to us using the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. I will be monitoring the chat throughout the session, and we'll make sure to present your questions to my colleagues either during the presentation or at the end when we have a dedicated section for Q&A. But again, please don't hold your questions back. Feel free to submit them to us at any point throughout the presentation. And additionally, the session is being recorded, and we will share the recording with you afterward for you to take a look back at or share with your colleagues. And with that, I would like to take a moment to introduce those from Stax that are on the call with us today. First, my name is Katie McGinn. I am the product marketing manager for Stax Connect, and I will be moderating today's session. We are also joined by Anna Wilson, Director of Commercialization Strategy, Ryan Dodds, Director of Product Management, and Karina Mills, Director of Solutions Engineering. And just a quick overview of our agenda today. First, we will cover the benefits of offering PayPal as a checkout option, whether that be within your own software or within the white labeled payment solution StaxPay. Next, we will talk through what a PayPal, Venmo, or Pay Later transaction looks like and provide a demo of a PayPal payment from beginning to end. And we will then talk through the implementation process for both you as our partner, as well as what the implementation process will look like for your merchants. And then finally, as I mentioned previously, we will leave time at the end for questions. But again, please feel free to submit your questions to us throughout the session. And now I will pass it over to Anna and Ryan to walk us through the benefits of offering PayPal as a digital payment option and to give us a look at the PayPal transaction flow from end to end.
All right,
Anna?
thank you, Katie. Yep. So good to see you all, or see your faces, or your names rather. So first off, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits of new exciting payment options. So a lot of studies are showing that by next year, over 54% of all card not present transactions are coming through digital wallets. There's also a huge demand that's increasing for both buy now, pay later transactions and for peer-to-peer transactions. And so with us partnering with PayPal, we are able to get a full bundle of all those type of payment methods so we can then forward and offer to our partners, your merchants, and your merchants' customers. So why PayPal? Next slide. There we go. So PayPal is, first of all, very well known, a very trusted brand in the industry with a very loyal customer base. There's a couple of different stats here that been collected over the years. One being that PayPal can complete an average of 46% more checkout conversions. What this means is really less cart abandonment, which this doesn't only apply to those companies that have e-commerce solutions or shop or selling products on a website, but also for merchants or businesses that sell services that have already been rendered and now trying to collect payments through an invoice or a payment link. And so even for those scenarios where maybe you have a customer going to complete the payment and they don't see a convenient, flexible way for them to use a preferred payment method, they may choose to come back sometime in the future, forget, and then your staff has to chase down that payment. And so regardless of the scenario here, overall, there's still a much bigger conversion rate than for merchants that don't have PayPal listed as a payment option. The second stat here is PayPal users buy 36% more on websites which accept PayPal. So again, kind of showing the loyalty of those merchants or those customers and the willingness they have to increase the overall transaction amount. The final one here is PayPal users purchase 40% more frequently from SMB merchants. And so again, a lot more repeat customers. And the takeaway from all of these stats is really that the checkout experience matters significantly. A lot of times we think about the overall products or services that a business provides, but kind of forget about the checkout experience, which is ultimately a very big part of the overall experience. And so it really does matter to provide your customers and merchants with their preferred payment methods. Next slide. All right, so what do you get with our PayPal bundle? We get 3 different versions or 3 different products within the integration itself. So the first one here is PayPal or PayPal Express Checkout. This is PayPal's digital wallet. Very easy for users to just log in. Functions very similarly to any other digital wallet. So easy, convenient ways to check out without having to enter all their card information. That's already stored within their PayPal wallet. The second option or product is Venmo. And so this is for customers that want to use that peer-to-peer transaction, using their own Venmo account to complete a transaction to the business. And so in this scenario, the customer, they would scan a QR code that pops up on the window, use their Venmo account to complete that purchase, and the business will receive the payment just like any other payment. The last product here is Pay Later. So this is PayPal's version of Buy Now, Pay Later. The big thing here is that there's no additional fees for merchants. So for merchants that are offering this solution to their customers, they are not held responsible for any additional fees outside of their standard processing fees. The Pay Later average order value is also 55% higher than standard PayPal transaction order value. So what that means is customers that have this option presented to them are much more likely to have or complete a larger purchase than if they did not have this option. And then finally, the merchants are paid upfront. And this is definitely the biggest value to customers and to merchants, because the merchant doesn't have to get in the business of trying to collect these payments on their own. So instead, this is handled directly by PayPal and the customer. The merchant gets everything up front, and then they can go about their day. I'm going to show now the 2 different versions or options within that Pay Later option that PayPal offers. The first here is Pay in 4. So it's pretty simple. It's 4 equal bi-weekly payments where the first payment is due at the time of the sale. And then there are 3 subsequent equal transactions following over the next 6 weeks. This one is for purchases or transaction sizes between $30 and $1,500. So think a little bit of a smaller transaction. There are no interest payments, no sign-up fees or late fees for the customer. There's no credit check for the customer, and the automatic payments are set up during the purchase itself. The other option that is offered by PayPal is their Pay Monthly, which is also called PayPal Credit. And within this section, there's a little bit more optionality or flexibility with the repayment terms. So it can go as low as 3 months of repayments all the way up to 24 months. The purchases here, the transaction size is larger. So it will range between $49 all the way up to $10,000, which is the maximum size of that transaction. Still $0 down, but there is a interest rate that is applicable to some of these transactions. And again, this is up to PayPal to decide as they're running a credit check and ultimately deciding whether or not that customer has the financial backing to ultimately apply for this loan or this PayPal credit. Still no sign-up fees or late fees, and there is an option to auto enroll at the purchase or time of purchase. Again, there is a credit check, so anyone who would qualify would have to have a credit score of 670 plus points. Again, this is what I really want to hammer down. This is something that is handled directly by PayPal. So from a merchant's perspective, or even as a partner, this is not something that you need to get into or manage at all. This is something that is just proposed to the merchant or the customer directly, and they can choose to accept these offers at their own discretion. And over to Ryan.
All right, thanks, Anna. Incredible benefits you outlined there with the bundle, getting 3-in-1. That's amazing. And thanks for breaking down the two different pay later options. Well, I'm excited to share with everyone what this is going to look like in the product. But before we get there, just wanted to walk through how does PayPal work within Stax? Well, the best way to think of it is it's like a digital wallet. So it starts with embedding into our JavaScript, which then can extend to your payment forms or be easily used within our bill and payment pages. And so what that really means is that it's a very simple implementation and a very easy to use user experience for your merchants cardholders. What happens, as you'll see, is when the cardholder decides to pay with PayPal, PayPal takes over. And so a modal will appear, which will allow the cardholder to select which payment method they like to use if they have multiple connected into their PayPal account. And then once they've confirmed the payment with PayPal, that's when PayPal is communicating with Stax via our API, and there's communication happening back and forth. Now, the great part is there's no code required for the hosted payment pages. And if you're using our white labeled Stax Pay, that means you can get going rather quickly. So let's jump in and show what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is walk through a pre-recorded demonstration of PayPal in Stax Pay. So this is our merchant-facing portal. And yes, you can go ahead and hit play there, Katie, and I'll walk through. So we're starting off in the product here. We're in the payments page. And really, it all starts with configuration. So once your brand, as a partner, is configured with the different payment methods that PayPal is offering, those then get extended to the merchant. And so you can see here the merchant, once provisioned with a PayPal gateway, will now have the ability to configure their different PayPal options here, just as they would with other payment methods like bank and credit card and Apple Pay and Google Pay. So you can easily, as a merchant, decide at the invoice global level to offer those payment methods. And we'll get into some of the considerations around which ones you can offer in a little bit. But that's at the invoice level. I'll also make a note, it's not shown in this demo, but if you were to create an invoice, you can then override those settings at the per invoice level. But let's take a look at an invoice. So Samir's Golf Shop has just sent an invoice out, and there you can see the PayPal options prominently displayed with easy one-click capabilities. And so sits right within your other payment methods on the bill or pay pages. And let's go ahead and do a PayPal transaction. So there's that modal popping up that I had mentioned. It's very fast and shows some options there. You can see PayPal is also saying for their pay or later options, this transaction's not eligible, so it's a $5 transaction. But we'll go ahead and confirm that payment, and then you'll see the confirmation. So great, we had a successful PayPal payment to pay that invoice. And if we come back over to Stax Pay and refresh, we'll see that payment come through there at the top. So there's our PayPal payment. You can see it's clearly marked as a PayPal payment with the little logo, the icon, and the PayPal indicator. And so that's kind of a view of what it looks like within the payment detail page within Stax Pay, and all that's available via the API as well. Okay, so you can see there's some Venmo payments as well, and PayPal. One of the things with PayPal buy now pay later is we're not able to see the difference on a BNPL. We can get into those differences later, but the pay later transactions will be marked as PayPal. Okay, so that was on the invoice side. Well, if you're leveraging our payment links feature, you can also set up the configuration there as well in terms of a payment link. Extending the optionality and configuration for merchants on the payment link side as well. And again, if you were to be viewing a payment link on the web, you would see those as well. Okay, I think maybe the video is replaying by now, but that's a very short, high-level demonstration of what the PayPal express checkout flow looks like. If you're interested and want to see some of the other ones with Venmo and buy now, pay later, would love to sync up with you after this call and give you more of an in-depth demonstration of those. Okay, so that was the transaction flow. Now, what does it look like on the reporting side? Well, for things like the deposit report, it's very, very straightforward. So as you saw in the products earlier, there's a clear indicator that they're PayPal transactions. And so that is simply in the deposit reports what they would look like as line items within the deposit report. Now, what you're seeing here are a couple of screenshots from the fee statement with a merchant who is using PayPal, extending PayPal for their customers. So at the top, you can see we've added a new line under the volume section, so you can clearly distinguish the volume that's being generated via PayPal, along with all the other columns that are good to see around processing fees and sales and counts and all that kind of stuff that you would expect. And then below, just a high-level summary aggregate KPI of the volumes, sort of in addition to the brands, so including the breakdown there in terms of PayPal and Venmo. Okay, so that's a brief summary on what the reporting looks like. Okay, so in summary, what are we really excited about? We're excited that PayPal is going to help you increase the attractiveness and stickiness of your software platforms. As Anna was mentioning earlier, to a couple of different stats, that we're just seeing tremendous growth in this area. Significantly, Americans using digital wallets in 2023, 69% use PayPal the most. And so we're excited to be partnering with a brand that is so prolific within the consumer world. Now, not only will that help attract customers to your platform, but also help them stick around. And so in terms of retention, you're looking at one of the more popular digital payment options. And really, as Anna mentioned earlier, focusing on that checkout experience, providing that level of convenience is just going to boost the overall satisfaction with your offering. And lastly, we've all been there. If you've been in a pinch and you need to order something, let's say you're on your mobile device and they're making you punch in your card number, versus if there's a one-click option there with a trusted payment method, I think we would all choose the more convenient of the options, which will just translate into additional revenue. So we're very excited and looking forward to syncing up with you all after this call if there's more interest in a deeper dive demo. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Karina and Anna to go over the PayPal implementation overview.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate the walkthroughs there. So now that everyone's gotten a chance to see what some of those payments and reporting flows look like, I want to talk a little bit about the implementation considerations. And I want to start first with the technical side of things. Implementation means kind of operations and technical, of course. But this is really just when you're thinking about how can you technically get this as a part of your software offering from your software side. And as always, whenever I'm thinking through kind of implementation considerations there, I like to think of them in 3 different buckets: the onboarding process, the payments process, and the reporting. So I'll kind of walk through those different flows. And as you can see here, really the differentiator is going to be, are you using our Stax hosted pages that we offer, the ones that Ryan just walked through, or are you building your own version of that with Stax.js? So I'll start with onboarding. I know we haven't really talked much about that yet. We do have, and in a few slides, we'll go over a little bit more about what that process is going to look like. But essentially, the onboarding process for PayPal is going to run in parallel to the existing onboarding process for your normal card not present ACH payments, whatever you're going through today. So we're not anticipating any additional like coding needed for anything onboarding related. It may be something where you want to add some sort of copy in your own interface in your software. If merchants are enrolling from directly within your software, you may be showing whatever the pricing is that they're getting for card not present payments, for example, and you may want to then surface that PayPal pricing as well. So this could be dependent on, how exactly you have built the interface for those merchants and what their expectations are for that. But for the most part, we're not anticipating really anybody having to change anything in terms of the merchant onboarding process from their side. Then diving into payments, this is where we'll see a little bit of a difference. So I'll start on the Stax.js side. So PayPal really only applies, as you can see, to those customer-facing pages. So I'm an in-payer, I'm going to a hosted page somewhere, or maybe a customer portal, and I'm making a payment, and I have PayPal as an option. It's not going to be applicable to any of those merchant-facing pages. So really, you just have to think about, where are your customers making those payments today? If you're a software company that has built the payments layer for customers in your own software and you've already built to Stax.js, the implementation is really straightforward to add PayPal in there. Stax, when we were kind of designing this product offering, it was designed with a developer in mind. We wanted to make it really easy and seamless. So it's just a layer on top of the existing Stax.js integration that many of you are already using today. So the lift, we'd put that somewhere kind of in the medium range if you have a Stax.js integration, just to add PayPal buttons and be able to connect that way. And then on the flip side, for hosted payments pages, if you're using those pages that Ryan was just walking through, really there's a case for no development. In many cases, you won't have to make any changes there. However, if you are creating invoices, for example, in your own software and then sending those end payers, the customers, to our hosted pages, there could be some things in terms of configurations that you may want to consider. So as always, we'd like to kind of see what you guys have built kind of before you go live with this, just to make sure we can catch anything that may be weird there that we may want to just call out, so that your operations teams are prepared for any questions that may come. And then actually, same thing goes for the reporting aspect. So for reporting, we have the reporting information is available, of course, in Stax Pay, as you saw in Ryan's demonstration as well. We've already built it to account for the Venmo, PayPal, so you can see which transactions were Venmo, PayPal. You could see that in deposit information, fee statements. If you've built something like that in your own software, there may be some additional reporting capabilities or considerations to kind of bring into your own ecosystem, but we don't anticipate anything that's going to be needed for a go live. It's more of just like, is that something that your customers are going to expect to see? And have you built it in such a way where you'll need to surface PayPal and Venmo in your own software? And if that's the case, it should be a pretty straightforward change to be able to have that information available. So that's really the bulk of it. Again, we kind of designed this with developers, with our partners in mind, so that we could make it a really easy and seamless experience for everyone to kind of see what it's going to look like. and get that through so that you can start offering PayPal as an option. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit near the end, but when you're interested in PayPal here, you'll go through the implementation process with us, just a quick call so that we can see, again, how everything flows and looks and make sure that you feel comfortable going live with PayPal, both from that operation side and that technical side. Thank you. Pass
All
over to
right. Me. So just like Karina just went over, to kind of highlight all the steps that you as a partner would take to enable PayPal on your side, on your platform, and get it live. These are the steps. And so the first step would be to just review this program with your growth manager, talk through pricing, exactly how you want to go to market. And then from there, we'll schedule an implementation call with the implementation team. And that would include Karina to sit on, or Karina's team, to review all the things that she just walk through. So the onboarding, payments, and reporting, to again just get a really good sense of what you've already built and how PayPal fits into that build. And then we will also schedule a sales and support training for your teams. And this is for those partners that handle tier 1 sales and tier 1 support, just to make sure that your teams understand all things PayPal, can speak to it, can answer questions, and really provide a good experience from the start for your customers. Then we will go through a pre-boarding exercise. And so this is for, again, all of our existing partners that already have merchants on the books with Stax. So once we know that you are ready to move forward, we will pre-board all of these merchants with PayPal. The reason we do that is because PayPal has their own underwriting process where they will review the accounts and ultimately give an approval. So once we get those approvals back, which is typically a very, very quick turnaround process, we will then statement message those merchants, letting them know, hey, you're going to get PayPal. This is what it looks like. These are the fees. And make sure that they receive that statement notice before PayPal is turned on their accounts. From there, we also want to engage with the marketing campaigns. A lot of times, whenever there's a new product release, we want your merchants to be aware and excited about that. So we have, and I'll show you in the next slide, some marketing collateral that we can provide you with so that you can create a marketing campaign around the launch of PayPal. Again, we want to get a lot of excitement from your merchants, showing them that you are thinking in terms of new developments, new products, new features, and continuing to develop your payment offering. And then for the launch itself, this is where we would set a date to enable the PayPal gateways. And these are, again, for those merchants that were already in your books that have been approved. We will enable the gateways, which will then create those PayPal buttons so that they can start taking payments through that flow. And then for net new merchants, so all new merchants coming on, signing up for your platform from the get-go, from that moment on, they will go through our standard process of underwriting, and within that flow, they will also then be enabled for PayPal. So these are, again, some of the partner resources that we have, and this is all within our Stax marketing portal. So if you go in there, you will see all of the collateral. And now we have both merchant-facing marketing collateral, so having the announcement template showing, again, your merchants that you now have PayPal. There's email templates in there. There's webinar outlines if you want to do something similar to what we're doing here today. We also have cardholder marketing collateral, so for your merchants to be able to market to their customers, showing them that now they have the ability to use PayPal as an option when they're going through the checkout process, and some stats around that. And then we also have sales resources. So again, helping your sales teams know how to sell PayPal well, and any objection handlings and everything else that they would need to speak to PayPal. All right, and this is really just going through the flow for your merchants. Again, looking at the merchant experience, going back to what I talked about with the net new versus existing merchants, and what exactly the flow is that they will go through for the PayPal enablement on their side. So looking first on the left side, these are, again, net new merchants where as they come through and they fill out an application for merchant services, we will receive that. The Stax underwriting team will review the application. Once that is approved, the merchant will start being able to process. So that is really the first step to just enable the merchant account itself. It does not depend on the PayPal status at all. But once that account is approved, we will then submit that over to PayPal for an additional review. If they approve it, again, we handle everything on the back end. So we enable those gateways that will then show up or show the PayPal buttons within the user interface. If the application is declined or pended by PayPal, that simply means that those merchants will not have the ability to accept PayPal transactions and the buttons will not be visible. Now, that is a very, very small likelihood of happening. So hopefully we won't see much of that. But if that does happen, that will just result in the PayPal buttons not being exposed. For existing merchants, again, these are the ones that we already have approved under Stax today, and they're already processing. This is where we will do that bulk enrollment with PayPal. And again, if the application is approved, we will then send out the statement message letting the merchants know that you now will start to see PayPal in your checkout flow. And from there, we will enable those gateways. And same thing, if the application is declined or pended, then those buttons will not show up. And I believe that concludes the overall section. So now we'll go into the frequently asked questions.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. So we did want to pull some of the frequently asked questions that we've been receiving and have them here so that way we can address them now. But again, any other questions that are coming up, please send them our way via the chat or the Q&A. But the first question that we wanted to touch on here is, what is transaction pricing for PayPal transactions?
So I will take that. So the standard is 3.49% and 30 cents a transaction. However, there are some nuances to that. So ultimately, this is part of the conversation that you will have with the growth manager to determine what that price is going to be for your merchants.
Awesome. The next one is, can a merchant choose to accept PayPal but not Venmo or Pay Later?
I can jump in here. So yes, as I showed in the demo, once you have configured PayPal at the partner level, those options then get extended down to the merchant, and then there's various altitudes of control there, if you will, around the invoice settings as well as per invoice and per payment link. You can choose to only accept PayPal. However, with Venmo and Buy Now, Pay Later, or Venmo and Pay Later, you do need to have PayPal included as well. So the PayPal Express checkout is always necessary. And so there's like the different configurations. You can offer PayPal and Venmo or PayPal and Pay Later, all three. The only one you can't really get away with is not offering PayPal.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Is the customer required to have a PayPal account for checkout? Anna, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't try to come off mute. Yes, the customer is required to have a PayPal account to be able to use the flow. So if they don't have it and they click to use PayPal as a checkout option, they will be prompted to go through a few simple steps to sign up for PayPal. And then they will never have to do that again.
Awesome. And then, do merchants pay any fees for BNPL? I think you've already covered this, but if we want to just readdress that, no, there are not any additional fees for BNPL, just the standard processing fees to the merchant.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, because we do talk about the bundle of both PayPal checkout, Venmo, and Buy Now, Pay Later, and the processing fees for all of those three types of products will be the same across the board. So if it's 3.49%, it won't matter what type of transaction it is, it will be the same.
Awesome. And then, how are refunds conducted for the Pay Later transactions? Anna or Ryan, you guys want to take those? Or Karina, whomever.
I can take that one. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So pay later transactions will look in the interface just like PayPal transactions. So you'll see the full amount in there. So let's say you had $100 payment that was split up in the pay for option. So maybe the customers only paid 25 of that, but as the merchant, you're going to see $100. So refunds on that $100 are going to be the same as they would for a typical transaction. PayPal is the one who's kind of dealing with the inner workings of, well, the end customer has only paid 25 of that. So like if a full refund had happened, the 25 would go back to the end customer, and then of course they would keep the rest of it since they were kind of financing for that part. Maybe financing is the wrong term in that case, but
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you. And then it looks like we do have a few questions coming in through the chat. So thank you guys for submitting those. First one I see here is, will we be able to see existing merchant application approval status in Stax Connect?
Yeah, I can take that. Great question, Jeff. For now, yes, you will be able to start by looking at those statuses within the new merchant export. So just as quick as it is to download that export, and the PayPal onboarding statuses will be visible there. Once your brand is established with PayPal, you'll then that export will then be changed to offer those. And then you can imagine in the future we might build in some more of that into the UI as well.
Awesome. And then a question from Brenda, how does the PayPal review impact the merchant account approval SLA? I heard someone mention that it was a quick turnaround, but can you add more specificity to that?
Yeah, I'll take that. So it doesn't impact the standard merchant application SLA from Stax. So that still remains the same. We handle reviews the same regardless of if PayPal is included or not. With the PayPal SLA, typically there is an auto approval. So as soon as we submit it to PayPal, we get a response within just minutes. However, if they do require additional review, their SLA is 24 hours. A lot of times for net new merchants, we already collect information up front through our underwriting team. And so we will submit any documentation that we've already collected to PayPal if they request that information. So a lot of times we can handle it within that 24-hour SLA, but that's the timing that we're looking at.
Awesome. And then how will PayPal have an impact on PCI, if at all, and what impact could that have on clawbacks?
That I will attempt to answer that, and that I would say is probably a little bit more of a complex question, but obviously PayPal is PCI compliant as any other processor would be, and so it wouldn't have an impact on the breach itself. We also have all of our merchants go through PCI compliance, and within that attestation, they are covered both through the compliance itself as well as breach insurance, and so there shouldn't be an additional liability opening up to them for accepting PayPal.
Thanks, Anna. And then is it possible for PayPal approval to be pending multiple times as well as Stax approval, or is their approval process a one review only situation?
I'll continue my role. So the short answer is no, once it's approved, it's approved. But PayPal, as well as Stax, we have our risk monitoring processes in place. And so our risk teams will monitor transactions. And if there are outliers or red flags that are raised, any questions around certain invoices, any type of fraudulent activity that we notice, there might be a hold on the account to review that to make sure that we're not letting through a lot of traffic when we shouldn't. But as far as the approval goes, that is a one-time approval process.
Okay. And then for BNPL, when does the merchant receive their funds for the entire transaction amount since the buyer pays in 4 installments?
They'll receive their funds immediately for the full amount, and then PayPal handles the 4 installments on their end. So from the Stax point of view, they're going to see the merchants are going to see the full amount for that receivable in their deposit.
Okay, great. And then one more here. Is there any possibility of PayPal business loans being added at a later date, or is the mechanism significantly different from BNPL?
Well, I think there's always the possibility. To be frank, the business loans product has not been something that's been on at least my radar as of late, but we'll take this as a note to go have a conversation with PayPal. We have a very tight relationship with them and have a discussion as to what that looks like and feasibility and whether or not that can be included within our PayPal program.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. And then I think that looks like all the questions. But again, if there's any others, please continue to send them our way and we will continue to get those answered. So just to round this out, so going back to why PayPal, obviously there's a lot to be left on the table here. We're offering this new, product for your merchants that is obviously seeing a lot of success for others. And as Anna has mentioned, digital payment options, they're only becoming more popular. So we definitely don't want to leave any of your merchants behind. And so we do have one question for you all. So you're going to see a poll option pop up on your screen. And the question is, would you like a Stax relationship manager to contact you to talk more about PayPal? So I'll give you all a couple of moments to answer the question there. Anybody who answers yes, we will simply send over your contact information to a Stax relationship manager so they can go ahead and reach out to you to set up a time to talk further about this. Obviously, feel free. You can also email me. You can tell us in the chat if you're interested. But definitely, if you can answer that poll question for us, we're able to see the email addresses and the names of those who answer. So we'll be able to get you over to the appropriate person on the Stack side to talk further about PayPal and what it'll look like to get that implemented for your merchants. So I think we are all set there. I don't see any other questions coming in. So Anna, Karina, Ryan, thank you all so much for your time today. If anybody has any other further questions, my email is katie-mcginn@staxpayments.com. Please feel free to send me a note. We will be sending the recording out to everyone, so you'll have a chance to look back and, like I said, share it with your colleagues. But with that, thank you all again. I hope you learned a lot today and are excited about PayPal as we are. So thanks again, and we will talk with you all soon.